Hi, welcome back. This is Matt. I'm going to be discussing Sandbox 1 about the subsection 2 about the actual ASA image. So for those of you who are already familiar with the topic and just want to get the blasted ASA image to work once and for all, this is the video for you. So we're going to kind of break down in this little agenda a couple of areas. One is that we're going to actually talk about where to get this image. There's a little side discussion about that, and then I usually ramble on for about 5 minutes there. And then the second part is a little background on the format of this image. It's kind of important to talk about, and basically what the best format image is for the ASA. And then finally, we're going to talk about all the parameters. So depending on where I'm at in this conversation, you might want to just skip all the way to the end and just look at the parameters for GNS3 to get this image running. Other than that, here we go. So topic number one is we're talking about the image. Where do we get it? 6-7 years ago, it was quite evident to me as a poor student, limited on funds, that these images were really hard to come by, relatively speaking. Meaning, I didn't have a Cisco account at the time. I really wasn't in the business. I just wanted to learn how to get this thing to work because I was actually working for GNS3. It was really hard to come by these images if you weren't part of an account with Cisco. And quite honestly, Cisco was at the time launching their own simulator called Viral, which in itself, they made tremendous progress in that, and just a little kudos out to the Viral team. They were extremely helpful. I worked with them one time to integrate GNS3 with Viral, kind of based on that last video I talked about where I was integrating GNS3 with ENSP, that Huawei simulator. So if you watch that video, you kind of know what I'm talking about there. But we were kind of saying, let's collaborate together because honestly, there is markets for both. So meaning you've got the Cisco champions that don't want to offend Cisco, even though their EULA actually says you can test it out. You can evaluate for 30 to 60 days. We can get into that a little bit later. But they just say, no, we'll use Cisco's product, which is Viral, and they pay for it. Fine. You want to go for you want to pay for it? That's your money. Go ahead and do it. And I think part of that was because you also get support, and that's great. You just want to learn how to use the device. You don't want to engineer or build your own networks. You just want to whip something up. And I think Viral does a good job. They have this thing that automatically blows up a topology with everything all already interconnected. It's just fabulous. If you just don't want to take the time to actually learn how to build a network. So obviously for me, being the guy that is hands-on, Viral wouldn't be the best fit for me because I want to learn how to build networks because I want to get paid to build networks. So that's a different thing. Other people are already getting paid to build networks. They just need to update their knowledge on the latest and greatest iOS image. So both models work out really well, and I think the Viral team and myself understood that, right? Also, just a shout out to Cisco. Cisco's, not this, evil overlord of their own products. They want skilled people using their products. I think that's what most people miss. I think what happens is, just this little side part, you might want to skip over this. Just a little comment about Cisco. Cisco's standards are gold industry. I mean, their tests are not easy, especially in the English part. I mean, my God, I'm a native English speaker. I majored in journalism. And for crying out loud, I couldn't freaking understand the double talk in the questions. So how does that really test out a person's ability to actually configure something? You got me, but man, that test is just brutal, both from a technical knowledge point and the double speak that's in the language. I mean, it's difficult. It's not easy. I think they have some PhD in English, and they're just sitting behind there, just reviewing all the questions and just throwing in, little verbiage in there that just makes it so difficult. You know, double negatives and weird stuff going on in the question. That's just me ranting. I'm sorry. So let's just talk. Let's just get back to topic. So the point was I didn't have access to the ASA. I had to work through my chain or channels to get the ASA that should work on it. Now we're going 6 years later. I'm producing this video today. It turns out that I do work for a company that's heavy into Cisco. They're all Cisco, so they have an account. Okay, so that makes things a lot easier. So what you should do is, find out, how you can create a Cisco.com account. Okay, and once you create a Cisco.com account, find out how you can get a hold of the download page. There's a little link for downloads, but some of those images really are indicative of if you are even entitled to it. So that's really a key point right there. I think that's where they really get you. So unfortunately, I can't help you with that. I can't help you with that. There definitely is this barrier here. So if anybody wants to throw in the comments how you could actually get this image without being a part of a company that has an account with Cisco, by all means. I mean, because really the alternative is what? Google dorking, right? And if you guys don't even know what that term is, Google that. Because basically Google does an amazing job indexing everything and running little bots into people's repositories on the internet, and you could just find just about anything just by Google dorking. I think Google did a good job tightening that down, because I find that what some commands I was able to do, it used to be pages and pages and pages of resources all over the internet. You could be jumping into all kinds of places, but now it's kind of down to 2-3 pages, and even some of those pages that are getting a lot of clicks, those are little catfishing on you, because if you click on it, I get fooled too. You'll end up being on a page that doesn't even give you what you want, and then probably just pushes down a bunch of malware. So it's pretty dirty stuff. I don't recommend it. I don't think that's a smart way of doing it. It's more of if you're in the business and you need the image and your company has an account with Cisco, then all you have to do as the professional is just reach out to the guy and say, look, I want to get this 2-cal image of our ASA appliance. I'm sure they have a copy of it somewhere. And that's really the kicker, is getting this image. It's the biggest hurdle. So if you've been reading or listening to this whole channel, thank you so much for doing that. I really appreciate it. But I'm sorry, this is where it's the end of the line for you. You're not going to get any further. It's like Gandalf. Cisco's like, you shall not pass at this point if you don't have this ASA image. And I'm not going to help you. I can't. It's not even ethical. So don't ask. I'll probably just delete that comment right away. All right. So what was that? 8 minutes? Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Let's just get into the second part of that. Is this QCal2 image? I misquoted it, but it's QCal2 image. I don't know if I'm even saying it right. But the idea is that this QCal2 format works really clean with the architecture of a Linux kernel, and by extension of the Linux kernel, what is actually enabling the virtual machine that's Linux based to access your CPU, which is through this extension of the Linux kernel. And so that's KVM. Well, what is KVM? Well, let's just take a second and talk about KVM. I found this really good website. I'm actually giving him full credit for it. He did a fantastic job. I can't pronounce his last name, but he really goes into what the internals is. QEMU, however you want to pronounce it. It's a weird, funky name. It's what actually integrates with the KVM. The KVM is an extension of the kernel, and that's how you're able to stabilize the ASA image so cleanly. Because now there's been a lot of great stuff. I don't know what army was behind this, but man, it is just running beautifully. Where 6-7 years ago, god dang it, KVM would crash on me all the time. And now, based on the x86 architecture on the platform I'm running, man, they've done a fantastic job. It's very stable. I'm very proud of it. I not that I did anything about it, but I mean, this is a huge accomplishment. That's why I'm calling it out, and I really appreciate the people that understand this, so that I could pass it on to you guys. But basically, the idea is that when you're running a virtual machine, okay, the QEMU or QEMU kind of like relays, those requests, and creates like temporary memory space, and the guest VM is treating it like physical. So that's what's brilliant. So what happens is if let's go up here. If this virtual machine takes a dirt nap because you were writing some code and then all of a sudden you crashed it, well, these other two can still run, and your host Linux virtual machine or whatever that's running it isn't impacted either. See how great that is? So I honestly think that just the refinement of this platform made it really stable, and I think that's the secret to letting ASA run so beautifully. Okay, so that's why I'm fully endorsing it. I think it's a great video. This guy Stefan did a fantastic job laying it out. I'll try to put the link in the comments, but then I just found out as a new producer or publisher or whatever the hell you call a YouTuber, people put some weird, goofy links to inappropriate content, and then when you click on that link, it gets you to some kind of like it just you just are starting to look at inappropriate content, and while you're getting bedazzled, your PC is getting infected with malware. So it's I think I've disabled the comments. If I didn't, just let me know and I'll try to disable the links in the comments. Okay, enough about that. All right, so we sped through that. That's 11 minutes. Let's take a look at the next point of the meeting, the agenda, and that is okay. So let's just say, for kicks and giggles, you actually are serious about getting this ASA to work, and you listen to all this and you're like, ah, crud, I don't have an ASA image. I'm going to have to stop this video and then go find the ASA image and then come back to the video. So we're at like 12:31. So just stop it here. Take a day or two, go find your ASA image, go through your channels, if you have to, go back to work and say, pretty please, this guy Matt is like begging me to ask for this, this disk image, this QCal2 disk image. I can never say the acronym right. I'm sorry. It just it just trips on the tongue. It's terrible disk image name. So this QCal2 image, you need to have it. Okay, so now we're at 13 minutes. Let's take a look at the GNS3. Now this is it. This is what everybody's looking for. This is the big show. So now you're going to come up to import your ASA image. You're going to go to Preferences. And in the past, I would try to make it work through virtual machines and VMs. Oh, God. The VMs would crash on you, and it was just terrible. So now, what you really should be doing is using QEMU. Let's take a look at these settings. Enable hardware acceleration, require the hardware acceleration. That's great. That runs fine. You're going to import, let's just say I'm creating a new one. You're going to type in the name of the ASA, ASA v3. No, it's not a legacy ASA. I don't know why they default to 256. ASA is a huge ungodly machine. You're going to need, and that's why my GNS3 VM is so big. It's 8 gigs. Well, because I need, at a minimum, 2 gigs just to run this friggin' image. So yeah, you need a lot of memory for your GNS3 VM, because it's going to be holding inside of it this ASA image, which is ungodly. Usually on this part, there's a little history here. Telnet is kind of dicey. I don't know how stable it is now, but the way you get around that is you emulate an actual display. So VNC which is used to kind of remote desktop into other Linux boxes. It's basically the equivalent of a Microsoft RDP. It's going to basically emulate the like a remote desktop, and you're going to be able to see it like a monitor or display. So that tends to be the go-to, just to see the image, because sometimes the telnet doesn't work right, and you're going to want that diskette. You're going to want to be able to see the emulated monitor. So I already have a QCal2. As a matter of fact, I actually have multiple types of ASAs because I work for a company that deals 100% with Cisco. So that might be unfortunate for you. You might not be able to get this image. This is what you're looking for. In the past, some of my guides were talking about the .bin file. That didn't seem to work right either. So there could be an argument about maybe I wasn't using the right type of file. But honestly, based on what I've been seeing, the QCal2 image also blew up on me 5 years ago. This one's much more stable. It comes from a trusted source, which is the Cisco account. So this is a very good image. And I can't stress how many times, if you don't hear this enough, I can't stress this enough. GNS3 is a fickle, frail piece of software. It's responsible for emulating an entire network. That's a lot to do for a piece of software, honestly. So a lot of times students and new people can't discern when it's not GNS3's fault that you downloaded a cruddy image off the internet that's corrupted. I mean, just really evaluate that, because if you seem to be going through the same steps, and like I said, these guys, these fancy, brilliant people that do this song and dance in front of you are showing you how easy it is. No. I've downloaded images. I've followed exactly the same step, and the image is the reason why it crashes. And I would have to just go get a new image, plop it in here, and start over again. It's ugly. So it's great if it happens the first time. I just want to say you should go buy a lottery ticket, because quite honestly, I think the first person bangs their head up with GNS3 because of this. Not GNS3, but because of this. They downloaded a cruddy image. So I'm always suspicious of the image, all the time. If it doesn't work right away, go get a new image. I actually had to do that with this situation. So don't beat yourself up. All right, so then you hit finish. You now have this thing, but look, it's kind of gross. Like I hate that icon. And look how clean and beautiful. You have this little firewall icon. So now we get to start to play inside this, and you're going to want to edit it immediately. So we go back in. First thing you want to change is the symbol. It's awful. So what you're doing is I'm accessing my GNS3 VM, and the GNS3 VM comes back and says, okay, what do you want to turn this into? Now, traditionally, when you're talking about ASA, there is an ASA icon somewhere in here. I could be wrong. Oh yeah, right here. That's pretty, right? That looks nice. But I don't like the big boxy looking icons. I usually want to get out of that. So let's just cancel that. Try that again. So you have this affinity circle blue. That's pretty. It's clean. For the kicks and giggles, because we're doing a. Let's try to find that firewall. Did I pass that? Dead air time. Oh. Here we go. Firewall 3. Let's. Oh, hold on. Is there another firewall? There we go. We could do this one. Let's do this one. Okay. Then you got the RAM. I already talked about it. You could opt to do the virtual CPU. I don't know. If you do 2, then that's going to take up the virtual CPUs for your GNS3. You just have to consider what you're doing in here. But pretty much everything else I don't change, because you already defined the VNC. Your hard disk, that's kind of important. Look at all these different hard disks you could add. I don't know why you would need that. CD-ROM, no. Network, kind of important here. The default is 1. I would say, you know what, you're going to want 2, maybe 3. I just go, oh, what the hell? I'm going to do 4. 4 interfaces. And you can, manipulate the text of what the interface is going to look like I don't necessarily care to do that. Don't click on any of this. Keep this, and then we move on to advanced. Um, this is the key part. So down here, you're not going to want this virtual machine to destroy CPU time on your virtual GNS3 box. And for some reason, when I looked at this other webpage, and forgive me, I don't remember where I saw it, they throttled it down to like 80% of the total CPU allowed, which is fine. And then down here, you really don't need a graphic. So you just say no graphic. Okay? What else about using? Nothing. Okay. So that's pretty much it. You're going to have to go step by step and make sure this all gets done. Now you got all this. You hit OK. Now when you open this, here it is. You're going to drag it out and you're going to do the big test. Is it going to blow up on your face? If you do, it's just, you're going to see a crap ton of error messages right here. Sorry, I didn't mean to say the word crap if kids are actually watching this. I don't even know why anybody would watch it, but point is, if you see a bunch of red error messages over here, just like, oh god, it looks terrible. It almost feels like you've destroyed like a nuclear power plant or something. It's just, as a user, I'm just like, ah, god, what did I do? And then you follow up and you realize you did something wrong, and then there's really no recourse, and the error message doesn't even help you. So that's why you have to Google for the next 30 minutes what the heck you did wrong in your environment. But this is a good sign, right? Now the next part of this test is, let's start it up. Okay, that looks good, because see, this turned green. That's nice. If you hit start and you don't see something blow up in here, you're on to the next test, right? Now the next test is, can you see something? So we go to console, and it's using VNC, and oh look, it's pretty. Look at that. So now you actually see something. So if you didn't set it up right, it'll do this like disgusting little thing where you almost see like the rasterized fonts, like not fonts, but like it looks horrible, and it just keeps going into this continuous rebooted loop. Actually, if you did type that into Google, you would find what the heck that is. But the first time you launch it, I think this particular image is based off of a Linux BSD, and so BSD has to sit there and do all this stuff with your virtual image. It's got to start organizing it and creating these sectors. So it takes an ungodly amount of time. I would say a good 5 minutes before you actually see something going on, right? Do we have time for that? No, not really, because we're freaking at 22 minutes. I'm sorry, guys. I tried to keep things around 15 minutes, but, I got talking, I did start talking about, Cisco and the images, so that's my bad. But yeah, let's see what it does. You don't even have to know what all this does, honestly, because I don't. But I'm sure somebody smart who's played with BSD, is a huge BSD fan, is going to jump in and do comments about that. But whatever. Okay, it's found the interfaces. This looks good. Okay, so it's got a reboot. So there's a reboot on this. That's why I'm actually recording this. I'm not actually skipping over. I think it's mean to skip over something that's really important. Student doesn't know, well, did I do it right? It's taking too long. Well, yeah, you're doing it right if it's doing this. Okay, so now it sees, it's got the kernel, sees the hard drive, it's looking for the image, which was already created, built up. Tells you the sector, which is great. If it finds something, great. If it doesn't, it just reboots. Continuous reboot. I wonder if I should put some elevator music in this. Dun 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 dun. Yeah, this is typical. Maybe I will pause it. You guys don't want me to hum Boy from Ipanema. Well, maybe some of you do. Okay. No, I'm just kidding. All right, I might have to put the pause on this one. Just kidding. I'm not. See how long it's taking? It's ridiculously long, isn't it? There we go. Yay for BSD, huh? I'm being facetious there. I don't care about BSD. I just want the dang image to work. There we go. Looking good so far. Still hasn't blown up on me. Oh, there's that beautiful Cisco prompt. This is what everybody wants. Everybody wants. What is the password? I don't remember what the password is. I think there's no password, right? Oh, wait a minute, wait. I think I know what it is. Yeah. This got me. Because I was assuming that this image was a brand new image, but yet because it was stored on GNS3 VM, it actually was pulling a config that I already configured, which is kind of cool. Didn't realize that. Show interface, IP brief. That's hilarious. That's hilarious. That has to do with a thing that GNS3 does, which actually creates a sort of this thing called a linked VM. So what it basically meant was I saved this VM at a certain point with the configs, and then I created a new instance into GNS3. So it had to go through the initialization of a new image, but then because I already had stored configs, it basically, that linked VM was just pulling that config, which is fascinating. So yeah, that got me. That was really good. So that's kind of cool. But now you know that it's already created. We're up on 27 minutes. I didn't mean to take that long. I'm so sorry, guys. But the next video is going to be about doing my little trickery here. The next video I'm going to show you is we're going to take cloud or NAT. What's the difference? Why would I use one or the other? Right? So in the past, I used to do cloud connections, and this cloud connection was connecting to my local host machine, and I used the KM loopback adapter, and everything was happy until Microsoft came in and just straight up destroyed that. So now we have to go through the GNS3 VM, which means now you're going to be binding to an adapter inside the GNS3 VM, which also explains why the GNS3 VM is so critical to develop. And it just blows my mind how 7 years later, frickin' team GNS3, who's working for SolarWinds, is clueless about developing the GNS3 VM. Granted, I do have to cut them a little slack. They did just get pwned, so they have other priorities here. But a little Schadenfreude there. But what you could do is basically watch my next video on how I'm going to choose the cloud or the NAT. The cloud or the NAT. Which one am I going to go with? You're going to have to find out. All right, talk to you guys later. Bye.